beginning in the world of lettering, you may have noticed that there's a whole host of tools out there that you could possibly use to do your lettering with. And it can get a little bit confusing which ones are the best ones for you, which ones do what. So I've got a little brief overview here of some of my favourites, some that you'll see cropping up throughout the magazine as well, and ones that you'll easily be able to use whether you're a beginner, whether you're an advanced letterer. Some of them are actually for lettering and some of them are more for accents. So let me just go through everything with you. Now, the first one I want to bring in is going to be one of our exclusive brush pens, but this is called a large brush nib here. So we can see that we have the tapered nib that goes to a point, and it is rather large. So it's actually almost like a felt base here. Now this is for your large brush lettering. You'll find these not only in the black and grey that we have included in the magazine, but there are a whole host of different brands and colours that are included throughout the different markets here. Now with these, very often you get the dual tip, which then means you have a smaller bullet nib on the end as well. There's lots of different reasons for using the bullet nib. Some of these can be used for defining your work if you want to. You can use them for adding extra accents and doodles. Really handy though to have that smaller nib in the same colour ink. So that's those, they're large brush nibs. So the next one is also for brush lettering, but a smaller nib. There are a number of different brands that do these as well. Very similar to the large brush nibs, but you'll find that they are a little bit smaller. Now some people believe that these are easier for beginners to learn with, some people the opposite. It really is, it's up to you. Try both, have a go with both, just have one of each maybe. Have a go and see which ones you find the easiest, but they are still a flexible nib that you can do your brush lettering with for smaller, thicker lines. The next one is more traditional calligraphy. So we're going to be looking at a dip pen here. So this one needs to come alongside a pot of ink. So this is your ink for your calligraphy. This is what you'll be dipping your pen into. The ink will sit in the reservoir there in the nib, and then you can write away, still getting those thick and thin lines. Quite easy to master as well, not as difficult as it may look. I mean, there's some beautiful calligraphers out there, they've had years of experience, but this is actually quite simple to get those thick and thin lines with as well. So working with pen and ink, you can also use a paintbrush. So a paintbrush would need to be a rounded tip. This means that you've got quite a wide body to the bristles and they go into a fine tip here. So we do call this a round brush. So if you get one of these, you can get them in different widths, so from very fine to really quite wide. I'd get a variation of them. They're fantastic for using with ready-made inks that are mixed together, or for using with perhaps your watercolours. We've got lots of projects throughout all the magazines where we're using brushes as well as pens too. So then there's lastly the water brush. So for your tools just for lettering, a water brush can be used in much the same way as the brush that I just showed you, but the water is held within the barrel here. So that just means that you don't have to keep dipping it into water or cleaning the brush off. You can just squeeze it, some water will come through the bristles here, and you can almost clean it as you go, or add more water to your paint or your ink if you need to as you work. You can get these with different bristles here, so you can get them so they are like a fan shape or a flat one. This one is like the brush, the rounded one, so it comes to a point. Very easy to achieve your thick and thin lines throughout your lettering. So they're your tools for lettering, but then there's a few tools that we will use for accents. So these namely are our white paint pen. So these will be a paint within the barrel here, and it will have a bullet nib usually. Now this will provide you with a very opaque white surface. So once you've popped this on your project, you'll be able to clearly see the white. If you want something a little finer, you could go with a gel pen. Same thing, it will have almost like a paint inside, and this is almost like a rollerball pen. You'll find lots of these on the market as well, and these are great for adding your highlights to your lettering and for adding things like, I don't know, stars on galaxies, things like that. So a perfect complement to those as well. Now lastly, the very, very basic tools that you are going to need, and I would suggest getting these before you get anything else, is actually a ruler and a pencil, because really without these you can't put your guidelines down, you can't sketch out the first elements of your words and do all your spacing. So grab these first and then look at your pens later on. So I hope that's given you an overview of all the different pen types out there and the other elements that you can use. You'll also find this is in the magazine too, so you can go through our basics page and have a look through all the tools and experiment with them, because we will all find different ways of using every one of them.